All right, Dana. Izzy said that his team brought this idea to him right after he defended his championship last. When did it get on your radar that this is something he wanted to do, move up?
I don't remember exactly when, but I loved it.
You loved it right away because
Yeah.
sometimes you don't like it when champions are moving around.
No, it's true. But look at what he's done. He's defended. He's undefeated, and he wants to move up to light heavy. I love it. I think it's a fun fight, and you can tell. I mean, look at the buzz and the energy and the interest around this fight. It's a good fight.
Yeah, and a lot of times, when you're talking about a champion moving up in weight, it's because that phrase, he's cleaned out the division. Do you think he's cleaned out the division, or do you think he's just so hot that you got to give him a new challenge?
I think it's a little bit of both.
Yeah.
I think he's come pretty damn close to cleaning out the division, and yeah, he's hot.
I know this is something that you can kind of decide as it plays out, but also, a guy who wants to defend 2 titles, it can have an adverse effect on weight classes. What is
That's
your
tough to do. I don't think he'll be able to defend both titles. Listen, the thing that I respect and that I love about Israel and what he's doing is he doesn't want to just be the middleweight champion, defend and do this. He doesn't want to just be the light heavyweight champion. He wants to be great. John Jones was looked at as the GOAT in this sport. He wants to move up to heavyweight, and he wants to beat him too. I love guys that want to do things like that and actually do it. He's not a guy that's inconsistent, doesn't fight a lot, always injured, a lot of those things. Israel likes to fight. He likes to fight a lot, and he's a durable, tough kid.
I feel like if there's a threat to this fight of maybe some people out there that don't follow the sport as closely, they might look at it and say, "Oh yeah, I know that Izzy guy. He's fighting somebody I've never heard of. It's probably an easy step up for him." Can you tell me what did you see this type of thing coming from Jan Blachowicz winning the title, and what do you expect to see out of him on this fight?
Well, this is equally as good for Jan. Israel's going to have the opportunity to move up to light heavyweight and win that title. Well, he has the ability to beat Israel Adesanya. And stylistically, this is an incredibly fun fight. Jan Blachowicz is a former Muay Thai world champion, and Israel is a former kickboxer. I think he has Jan has 8 knockouts and 9 submissions. Anywhere this fight goes, the guy is dangerous. This is a real fight. So obviously, if Israel wins, everybody's going to be talking about, oh my God, does he fight John Jones yet? And if Jan wins, everybody will know who he is and be talking about him on Sunday.
We just came from the press conference. I think a lot of us were excited to see them kind of stand next to each other to see what the difference is in size. Did you take anything from that? What did you think?
I did. Israel was taller, which is fascinating. You know what I mean? But there's obviously Blachowicz is a dangerous guy no matter where this fight goes. And, this is a real fight for Israel Adesanya. If Israel Adesanya beats Blachowicz, and the reason there's so much buzz around this fight is because the people who actually know about fighting know that this is a really good fight.
What kind of vibe have you gotten from Amanda? It's cool that, really it started, I think, kind of with Ronda, and when she beat Ronda in the fashion she did, and then when she knocked out Cyborg in the manner in which she did. She has this aura about her, but then you see her as a mom. She's taking her kid everywhere this week. What has it been like to see her in that element?
Yeah, no, I'm happy for her. She's got everything she ever wanted in her life. But she's got a tough test. One of the things for her going into this weekend is, she's a huge favorite in this fight. Now, if you watch a lot of women's fights, there are women that are very technical, very fast-paced, a lot of great fights that we've had. Very few women have the ability to knock out other women, knock them out cold. Both of these women do in this fight. So anytime, like when you get big heavyweight fights and you have big punchers, anything can happen in a fight. That's this fight between these two women. Megan Anderson is a massive woman. You saw in the stare down. And she hits like a truck. So this is a fun fight between 2 really big punchers in the women's division.
And it's always a threat when you've been as dominant as long as Amanda has it. You can get complacent, that you can start overlook opponents. And for her to have her child here all week, I mean, I think it's great. As any new parent will say, you don't want to be away from your kid at all. But do you almost worry that Amanda could fall victim to being a little complacent, or do you think she's immune to that?
I think that happens when you've had the success that she's had anyway, and the money that she's made. Anytime you have the kind of money that Amanda Nunes has, the Conor McGregors and people like that, when you start, when your bank account is in the millions, things change.
Really sneaky, good third title fight between Petr Yan and Aljamain Sterling. Just stylistically, man. I mean, I know you're a fight fan. What do you think of this fight?
It's an incredible fight, and it's the perfect fight with the perfect guys at the perfect time. 2 guys in their prime. I think that Aljamain Sterling is much more mature in every way, shape, and form than he was a few years ago when he was, running around saying he should have a huge contract at that time. He's a completely different guy, mentally, physically, and emotionally, and as a fighter. And this is the perfect fight at the perfect time.
Let me ask you one other thing about that division, because I think a month ago or even 2 months ago, I was asking you about what do you think TJ Dillashaw's first fight is going to be back? I mean, obviously the guy's been gone for 2 years because of that drug suspension. People are kind of excited to say, when are we going to see TJ again? That suspension ended in January. I thought we'd have fight news about him by now. Are you kind of looking at this fight like maybe he could face the winner of this one in a title fight right away, or you got other plans for TJ?
We're working on something for TJ right now that would line him up. The winner of that fight would fight for the title next.
Okay. You were out there at the press conference talking about Texas opening up. So when you saw that news, that was your first call was
Well, as soon as I saw it, we started making calls to Dallas and Houston, two of our favorite spots in Texas. Dallas shot us down immediately. We didn't even get the sentence out, and Dallas said no. They're not interested in having us. And so now we're talking to Houston. So if Houston's ready, we're coming.
Huh. So Dallas, just for obvious reasons, they're just not ready to take that plunge?
Who knows?
Huh.
Who knows? They shot us down immediately. So we're looking at Houston.
How has the reception been from Houston? Are you optimistic?
Yeah, I'm very optimistic, actually, yeah.
And I know that, my colleague Mark Ramondi asked if the next pay-per-view at the end of the month could be moved over there. I know you're a super optimistic guy. Is that an actual realistic possibility that you could get there that fast?
If you're going to have somebody come in to your state and be first, who better than us? Not only are we going to do it, we're going to do it right. You look at our track record. We're going to come in and blow the doors off that place, have an incredibly successful event, bring business into Houston, and kickstart this whole thing again. Once we do it, everybody else is gonna follow suit and start doing live events with sold out crowds.
And once you do it, do you think that that you can't come back then at that point? Like once you got fans back, you got to keep them back. Like would you make it a regular thing to then continue to go to Texas?
It's going to depend on what opens up after. Texas has the balls to do it right now, and if other places do it, now is the time. I support the governor of Texas. Now is the time. It's the right time to bring back events, and I look forward to being first.
And fortunately, man, it seems like cases are down, states are reopening, vaccines are becoming more available. Do you have any message? Like, have you contacted your staff or your fighters? Like, are you have sort of a stance on encouraging them to get a vaccine, or it's completely up to them? Do you have any sort of company-wide sort of policy on that?
I don't tell my fighters anything. They're all grown men and women. They have their own minds, their own views on life, their own political views. Mm-hmm. That's all up to them.
Okay. Conor McGregor, Dustin Poirier, they continue to talk like they're going to fight a third time. You've said that that's most likely the fight's going to happen. Do you have an update on
No.
maybe a time frame on when that might happen?
No, this summer.
This summer, okay. Leon Bilal, it's a great main event coming up next week. Originally, you had said that you were thinking about, it would make sense to have Leon Edwards fight Colby Covington. I just wondered what is going on with Colby Covington. How come he didn't take that fight? And
Bilal jumped in and wanted the fight. The guy's been on a tear. Good for him. Mm-hmm. Good for him for stepping in and taking this opportunity.
I know that you've had you and Colby haven't seen eye to eye in the past. It seems like you've mended that relationship a long time ago. But is there any, because he's right there at number 2, and it seems like it's just hard to get him a fight. Is there any kind of rift there? Does he seem like you're working on something with him?
We'll get him figured out.
Okay. And then Masvidal came out and said that he was looking at that potentially his next fight could be in September. And of course, the word is, everyone's been talking about it, that Usman and Masvidal could coach The Ultimate Fighter and then fight at the end of it. He mentioned that time frame of September. Is there any update you can give us on Masvidal and Usman?
I have nothing.
Nothing yet?
No.
Okay. And then last thing for you, at the end of the month, you got the heavyweights, Stipe Miocic and Francis Ngannou. And I was curious, in non-COVID times, you might have John Jones come out and sit cage side and watch that fight and be, involved, potentially even bring him into the octagon, or at least have him sort of like start talking about that fight because that's the next fight you want. Is there any way we could see maybe John Jones in attendance at that kind of fight?
Maybe. I haven't heard from him. But obviously if John Jones wanted to come to the fight, we'd love to have him.
Cool. All right, man, we'll let you go. We appreciate it, and looking forward to the fights this weekend.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN Plus right now.